Our topic tonight, we're going to be delving into some current issues in Liberia. And I have some exciting panelists tonight to discuss. First is Miss Massa Dopoh. Massa, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you so much, Dennis, for having me on your show. Sorry, I came from work. I didn't take out my ID.
We are so glad to have you. And first time on Focus on Liberia, we are so fortunate to have you. Thank you for accepting to be here.
Pleasure.
Next, if you are on Facebook and you are friendly with Edward Doe, I'm certain you have gotten something from him talking politics. Our next guest is from the Maryland area, Mr. Edward Doe. Edward, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dennis Jah. It's a pleasure being here and contributing to your show and welcoming me on your show to at least, be part of this discussion and also for me to actually propagate my opinions more.
Thank you so much. We're glad to have you. And we're going to be discussing some current issues that are happening. Our guests will express their view where they differ. They're going to go at it. So it's a discussion debate. And we're going to bring in our callers very early so that they can be part of this exciting discussion. There are a lot of issues happening. So once more, I want to welcome you. And I see both of you are active on Facebook. You are not, you never shy away expressing your views on how you feel on current issues going on in Liberia. So let me ask,
and Dennis, I should say, nice meeting you, Edwin Doe. I know we have interacted a lot of time, but then we haven't really had the opportunity to see each other live. So it's a pleasure being with you on this platform.
Same to you too, Massa. You are very good in writing, expressing your opinions. You don't shy away from that, even though sometimes you and I contrast in terms of opinions, whatsoever. And then this will be a very good debate.
Right.
Thank you.
So what are some of the issues you guys disagree on before?
So many issues, but let's talk about the debate.
All right.
Well, one of the first issues is that I been reading Massa views. I think she's more of a staunch, defender, supporter of CDC and we are government. So that's a big contrast between she and I.
we will see.
It's okay. It's Dennis, I always tell people it's okay for us to disagree because when you look at the history of Liberia and what led us to the war, it's because people did not disagree.
Yeah.
People did not speak their mind to each other and how they felt about things going on. It was hard for people to communicate. So right now, as Liberians, as we all were able to leave that comfort zone of our country where we think that when you stand up to speak out and then you are being disrespectful, you are being rude, at least some of us who are in the Western world, we know it's not rudeness, it's not disrespectfulness, it's just an act of communication, which is very, very important. And I always tell people we should always be able to encourage our children to express themselves. I don't care what they are saying, we should give them that opportunity because we never had that opportunity. And if we had that opportunity, I don't think Liberia was going to go through war. But it's better for us to disagree on issues, and I'm okay with that.
I kind of have a different view on that. What Massa just expressed. It is not that people do not disagree. It is that the government have suppressed, dissent, and so therefore people shy to express their opinions because you express your opinions, you get punished by the government, and we didn't actually have a democracy the way we have today, whereby people are more open now. People want to be part of the process, want to participate. Unlike before the war, the democracy was not that open. The government was more of a, I would say, oligarchy and suppressed dissent. and people shy away from expressing their dissent. A few people that express their dissent was dealt with, drastically. But it's a different time now. So
Well, I tend to agree with you because I don't know your age, and as we can see, I'm pretty sure you have lived longer than I am. So I agree with that.
And for tonight, for Focus on Liberia, we are happy to and welcome for any disagreement. We here, we don't take side. What we do is to present the story as it is, have our guests express their thoughts and their feelings, their opinions. Whatever views expressed tonight, they are solely your views and not the views of the management of Focus on Liberia. So one of the top
And
issues.
Dennis, can I just say something to Edwin? You know, when Edwin,
his name is Edward, please. Edward
talks about Massa being a strong supporter or defender of this government. I hope that Edward would not see that as a means to attack me. And even if we're supposed to agree on certain things, I hope I'm just throwing it out there because
no, I'm going.
All right, guys. I get it.
I hope you know what I'm saying because
I get it.
they may already set the stage.
Right.
Like why we did.
And before.
So I think it should be about us seeing the issue and be able to really see the reality of it and discuss it as it
one
is.
of the
Yes,
issues.
I support this government. But I'm not blind to what's going on, especially when people are prevented from having the basic services, or when the government is not doing enough to improve the living condition of our people. I'm not blind to that. And just to tell you, I came from Liberia. I was in Liberia in April, so I saw that for myself.
All right. And one of the issues that is topping the agenda tonight is the closure of Roots FM. That's the FM station, that is managed, or where Mr. Henry Pedro Costa normally have his talk show. That's the radio station of Mr. Henry Costa. So Roots FM is closed. We saw the presence of the police taking away materials belonging to the station. And there are mixed feelings concerning the closure of Roots FM. So I start with you, Mr. Edward. So what we're going to do tonight is I will state the issue and you express to me what you feel. And if there's any disagreement, we go back and forth on that. So let me start with you, Edward, about the closure of Roots FM. After that, there was a letter that circulated that Roots FM did not have a valid license. When the Solicitor General spoke, talk about other issues about sedition, inciting violence, and the violation of Penal Code, I think 11.4 or 11.2. So your reaction to the closure of Roots FM?
Well, first and foremost, I think the government is wrong by taking this action of closing Roots FM. A compliance is just a compliance. You try to make the person or the organization be in compliance. You don't just go and close down the organization because they're out of compliance. Then because the idea here is for them to be in compliance and be able to get that revenue from them. So the government should have issued a warning if their license will expire, give them some time, perhaps maybe 24 hours to renew their license, before taking any action. But the fact of the matter here is that the government went and used violence. They were very violent too in closing down the radio station by, going in there, seizing equipment, dismantling equipment, breaking down the gates and things of that nature. And one of the things the government said, I think there's some lawyer from them, the COSIAFAS, was that the radio station was inciting violence and doing other mischievous things, for the government to be toppled. I've never seen I've never read or listened to that radio station, a platform, in that direction, citing violence, or threat to the government, things of that nature. So where did this come from? Why would the court issue such a writ? Where did the government prove that these people cited violence, for the court to issue such a writ? If that's, from what I read, that's and court read stated that as well. So the whole idea of closing down Root FM is a violation of free speech. People like me, people like Massa, people like you that host this show. If you hosted a show in Liberia and you have a very different opinion or a contrary opinion of the government, they're going to come and shut down your show. That's bad. To me, we're heading towards dictatorship. It's despotism, and we're heading towards anarchy as well too. And I'm surprised that we came to the presidency because of difference of opinion.
Mr. Doe.
All right, I'm about my time, yeah.
Yeah. No, you're not. But I just want, before you land, I just want to ask you if the issue of not having license, if Mr. Costa or the Roots FM, if it were operating without a valid license, does that give the government the right to do so?
Well, the government has the right to take action, but I think the government, to keep the record, is supposed to know whether this Root FM was operating without a license for a while. Why did it let it go that long? Why didn't they send them a letter, say, listen, your license has expired, either come to compliance, we want to bring you up to compliance, renew your license within 24 hours or so. If not, then we're going to shut you down. That was the prudent thing for the government to do.
Thank you. Let me go to Massa. She's nodding. Massa, what's your view on the closing of Roots FM? And why I was saying that someone either said Roots FM was not only closed down, it was vandalized. I don't know if I should use that, but
that's true.
I think so too. Just because the way the closing down of the station was carried on, I think, like you saw me, I tend to agree with some of what Mr. Doe stated, because let me just tell you something. All of us, we know Root FM CEO, should I say CEO or director, Mr. Costa. All of us, we know that Henry Costa, for some time now, Henry Costa have been inciting violence through his radio station. You understand? And I told somebody, I'm like, this government has a lot of power. This government has the law. This government, they claim to have people who understand their functions. But sometimes the way they go about doing things, it almost like they still see themselves as opposition. They still see themselves as people who are fighting against another political party, or people who are still campaigning. No, we are not campaigning. This government is a government for the Liberian people, and this government must serve the Liberian people. So back to my point, Henry Costa has been inciting violence in the country. Henry Costa has planned a lot of demonstrations. Some of them, I always stay there. I'm not a fan of demonstration. I'm not a fan of protests. But I think with the Constitution, and like I said, the law and the mandate of this government, if they're actually seeing their position as a position for all of the Liberian people, they will be able to provide security and safety for both the protesters and non-protesters. And that's their mandate, whether they like it or not, whether they like Mr. Costa or not, whether I like Costa or not. This government of the Republic of Liberia is on an obligation to protect everybody, whether or not they voted for you. So this government, on that issue of Costa, previous violence, this government has failed to take the right step in making sure that Costa is accountable for whatever violence that he's causing for the country, and also the threat to the safety of other people who are not part of his protest or who are not part of whatever he's doing. So this government failed on that. So now to the issue of compliance, you just cannot, I don't know, maybe Liberia law is different, but even if somebody is out of compliance, that is not the right way to do it. These people were very aggressive. And like I said, they always fail to do the right thing. They always fail to use the law. They think that violence can solve problems. No, Henry Costa can be as violent as he wants to be, but you as a government, you cannot be. You cannot be. because you are taking oath to protect the country. You are taking oath to protect everybody, the safety and well-being of the country. So I don't care how many violence Henry Costa have caused in our country, you just cannot walk to his business and take police armed men to go and take all of his things. Armed robbery's way of doing things cannot help us as a country and as a people. So I want to agree with Mr. Dopoh that this government infringed on the right of Mr. Costa. Being out of compliance is not a reason for which that you should go to somebody's place and vandalize that place. I will use that word and take all of their stuff. You just can't do it. You follow the court process. You follow the legal process to do stuff. If you think this man is in, if this man is no compliance, you follow the right procedures to do it. You just can't.
You mentioned about Henry Costa inciting violence. Can you give example, and should that be a good reason enough to close the station even if they did not vandalize it?
Yes, and that was I think it was a few years ago, a few months ago, when Henry Costa had the GoFundMe, when he had the GoFundMe where he was raising money and stuff. And I have video of that. You see me, like I said, I don't care how much I defend somebody when it comes to somebody, another person having an opposing opinion about me. That's okay. We are all there to learn. Mr. Costa is my friend. You know, we don't come on social media to do that, but he and I, we chat a lot about things, about families and everything. So I respect him. He respects me. And that's it. But when Mr. Costa had that GoFundMe where he went, when they were raising the money, I think that was when he lied that government got in contact with Lone Star and they shut down his, something he said was stolen, they shut down his station, yeah. And then Lone Star came up with, the Lone Star cell came up with a press release that it was not government has nothing to do with it. And that was when Henry Costa was raising money. Henry Costa came on social media on his live video. I have that video. And he was inciting violence. People should get out. He get people who got arms. I mean, he said a lot of things that triggered me. And to the point where I was able to write GoFundMe, and you understand, and even share some of those videos with GoFundMe. Those are information, those are credible information as a government that you want to use the law, and use the law the right way to be able to put a stop to that. But this government never did it. I personally feel like this government is in a fight with Henry Costa as an individual, only because when Henry Costa criticized this government during the election and after the election, this government tried to bring Henry Costa closer to them so that Henry Costa can be defending them. But whatever agreement they had with Henry Costa did not hold, and Henry Costa decided to be to be an obstacle to whatever that this government intends to do. So they think that they must fight Henry Costa. I think that's where the problem is. But the problem is, it's not with him. It's not with Henry Costa business. But it's almost like they are in a fight with Henry Costa himself, based on our agreement that they went through and it didn't work out.
Okay, Mr. Dopoh.
I got a question for Massa. She said one or two things. There's a debate, so I got to comment before we jump to the other topic or so.
Sure, go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. Are you a fan of free speech?
Oh yes, I am a fan of free speech.
But you say you're not a fan of protests.
No,
Isn't protests a part of free speech?
Let me just make it clear why I say I'm not a fan of protests, and I will limit that to Liberia. I'm not a fan of protests when it comes to the way people see protests in Liberia. People try to use protests to cause chaos for other people. But trust me, Mr. Dopoh, when you go to Liberia today and say, a lot of the protests in Liberia, they always have their own self-interest. Okay. But if you, Mr. Doe, you go to Liberia today, you say, look at the way children have been abused, young children, and you say, you know, this is enough. We're gonna stand up against their abuser. Mr. Doe, I will support you. That's a good cause.
I understand that a protest can get out of hand, but
Yeah.
Henry Costa had a protest on June 7th, and that was a peaceful protest.
It was
so why would you want to characterize protest
as if
it's a bad thing?
No, I'm not characterizing that protest. And I was very clear to tell you that even though I'm not one that will want to protest for every little thing, but I think that this government or any government is on an obligation to provide security for the protesters. And I've spoke on that so many times. Even people in CDC, they get upset with me. But I'm
kind of confused. You can say you're a fan of free speech and then not a fan of protest.
Let me come to you.
No, it does. I can be fair. Free speech is not the only way to express myself, Mr. Doe. Free speech. I mean, protest is not the only way for me to express.
I get that.
Maybe for you, but for others, it is.
No, it's not. Protest is not the only way to express your freedom of speech.
That's what I'm saying. It's for you, it is.
Get back to the
Maybe
issue.
for you, it's not. But for
you
others,
want me to believe that protest is the only way to.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is,
I'm not a fan of protest.
No, what I'm saying is, you said that a protest, you're not a fan of protest, but yet you're a fan of free speech.
Of course, I am a fan of free speech.
And protest is a part of free speech.
But it doesn't mean I have to use that route to express my freedom of speech. That's what I'm telling you, Mr.
That's what I'm saying. Not everybody. I do a lot of writing through my advocacy and protests. Some people like to go on the street and raise the placard. You know, that's the way of protesting or expressing their free speech.
Hold on, Massa. Mr.
Letters to people I disagree with. I'm also expressing myself.
Massa, hold on.
I don't have to get in the street.
Hold on, Massa. We get
you, Massa. You cannot determine how other people will express themselves on the line of free speech.
All right, I'm muting you both. Mr. Doe, hold on. Everybody, hold on. Hold on. Mr. Doe, my question is to you now. So what is your point when it comes to the Henry Costa issue? I know.
Well, when it comes to Henry Costa, even though I do not follow Henry Costa, solely all the time, I do not agree with him. Most of his platform, most of his utterances express the opinions he expressed. But the action of this government this time was wrong, and I do not agree with Massa.
And I agree with you. And I agree with you. We are saying the same, Edwin.
Yeah, but when it comes to free speech, that what would differ? You said that you're not a fan of protest.
You want to force me to take protest as the only means of
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
I said I'm not a fan of protest. I said that.
I'm not saying that, Massa.
You made that point. I get you clearly. Edward, hold on. I have a question for you.
Okay.
You have now watched Henry Costa inciting violence. The government.
No, I haven't heard on his platform, citing any violence. As a matter of fact,
I will share that with you.
As a classic example.
I'm going to share that with you.
Let me land, Massa. As a classic example, June 7 protest. June 7 protest that Henry Costa organized. Was there any violence?
No.
All right, then.
She said that already.
That's a strong example.
And I even comment them and blast at the government because the government put fear in the people, even the people who plan the protest. I was very clear on that. The government scare our people, even the organizers of the protest.
My question
I said I am not a fan of protest.
My question for the
I am not.
Okay, Massa will get that. My question to the both of you is, the character of Mr. Costa, does it come into play in what's obtaining? Because oftentimes I talk about, let's talk about the issue, but Mr. Costa is is in the forefront of what we are talking about when it comes to closing Roots FM. Does his character come into play, even though that gave the government no justification, as you were saying, but what he's doing, the way he's going about things, does it come into play when it comes to how the government should or should not deal with him?
I'm very clear on that. Whatever the government is going through with Henry Costa is because of the deed that is struck with Henry Costa and it did not materialize. And we can see the way the government is handling the issue of Henry Costa and his radio station. This government has not been able to deal with issue professionally with Henry Costa. They still have that animosity in them about Henry Costa. And there are people in the government who think that they should bring Henry Costa down. This is not about Henry Costa. Henry Costa got his followers. This is not about him. This is about professionalism. This is about you using the law the way it's supposed to be used, and not because you hit somebody or because you and somebody have some kind of disagreement. So you think you should go after them by all means. No, you can't do it. I think this is a fight between Henry Costa and the government, based on the deed that they had before it did not work out.
And to add to that, before you come in, or Mr. Doe, the government spokesperson, I think the lawyer said that, in fact, if Henry Costa goes on any other radio station, right, that radio, in other words, he shouldn't even express his view on any other
You
station.
see? So it's this government.
Well,
Go ahead,
and Dennis, on the issue of character, we all have our own little characters. We all have our own little imperfection, you know. And yeah, there are times the way Aaron Costa present his show or present his platform is not in line with me or with many Liberians. But in the same token, the government too has their own character too. You know, the government is very much part of this. You know, in a sense. First and foremost, the government tried to get in some sort of a relationship, tried to buy Henry Costa by offering him $10,000 on a monthly basis, just for Henry Costa to support their agenda and propagandize their agenda, things of that nature. To me, it's wrong. That's a wrong position of government for. You know, that's a wrong position. Because Henry Costa refused that offer, you know, whatsoever, they tried by all means to get him. And by getting him, this is what we end up with.
He's gonna retaliate.
Mr. Doe, according to Henry Costa, worked with the government and did not criticize them for, he said, 10 months. During those 10 months, he said he only received $5,000 from the president as just a gift, not a quid pro quo, as he said. So what others are saying is Mr. Costa only criticizes because the deal broke down.
True, I totally agree with you, and I blame Mr. Costa, you know, because if he was a balanced journalist whatsoever, his radio show was balanced, they wouldn't have even taken such an offer, you know, whatsoever. As he said, he always preached that his radio station is the voice for the voiceless. So by taking $5,000 from the government, he's already compromised that position. You see, he's in no position then to speak on behalf of the people. He's being corrupt. You see, so I definitely disagree with Henry Costa's action there. But anyway, he made a mistake. He realized it. So he's back to his normal position, original position. He should continue with what he was doing, and the government should leave him alone.
All right. Massa, if you don't have any comment, we'll move on to the
I
next.
do have a comment.
Go ahead. Make that comment.
And I disagree with Mr. Doe. The reason why I disagree with Mr. Doe, Henry Costa is a businessman, to be honest. Henry Costa has used his radio station to sustain himself. So I'm not going to sit here and blame Henry Costa. I'm going to sit here and blame a government that just got into power instead of fighting hard to improve the living condition of the Liberian people. They are in every corner looking for people to sing praises to them and give them money. You understand? And looking at the society that we come from, I mean, you'll find a lot of people to do that for you as a government. These are the things that Henry Costa have been used to doing even the days of Madame Saleh. So when you get in a contract with a man who's a businessman and you fail to live up to that, obviously he's going to come back at you, especially when he has sufficient evidence to come back at you. He's going to do it. So this is not about Henry Costa. This government, whatever things that they are in with Henry Costa, they brought it on themselves. After the election, Henry Costa did not go hunting for them. They came hunting for Henry Costa because they wanted to use him to be able to speak on their behalf. So whatever they offer him, if they can live up to it, this is Henry Costa. He's going to come back, and they too are going to come back. But you know what? We're going to look at them because they should be in a position to serve the Liberian people and not to be in a fight with an individual. You understand? So whatever money that Henry Costa got into, whatever contract he got into there, he's a businessman. So I support him on that.
Do you believe, I want to ask Massa one question. Do you believe that this government believes in free speech? Do you think this government believes in free speech?
Yes, I think so.
Can you explain that to us, please? Because what are some of the actions the government have taken to ensure free speech?
This government has taken a lot of actions. Even people that Henry Costa is not the only one, how you call it, criticizing this government, Mr. Dopoh.
But he's the only one heavily criticizing the government.
He's the only one retaliating because of the contract that he got into with the government, and the government failed to live up to that.
I don't agree with that.
He's gonna be loud.
I kind of differ with you. I think he's the only one heavily.
We don't know
this government. He's the only one organizing a protest. He's the only one, radio station that is doing all of that.
Henry Costa and the government, they are in a personal beef. They are in a personal beef. Right. Mr. Dopoh, I went to Liberia. All the radio stations, in fact, people were there cussing on some of the radio stations. People were there criticizing this government to the 40th. So why is this government not going after these people for Henry Costa? Because this government—
Why did the president announce that he's going to jail anybody that insults his mother?
No, this government and Henry Costa are in a beef. They are fighting against each other. This government is the only government so far. And
do you think the government should reduce himself to that level?
No,
but that's what I'm saying. That's my issue with the government. To reduce themselves to the level of an individual. That's my problem with them.
Let me say this before we move on. I watched Mr. Emmanuel Sabe's live show today, and I believe by far he gave the best narrative or the best analysis about what is unfolding. Clearly, there has been some a political marriage between Mr. Costa and the government. We don't know what goes on there, and things broke down. We don't know who did not fulfill their part of the bargain, and these things are happening. So let's but the next thing I wanted to get to before we move on, I want to bring in our audience. If you are watching, the number is 712.
Just to add to that too,
with
the Fatika brothers, this government is trying to get in the same marriage with the Fatika brothers who criticize them. You understand? So in that case, I tend to agree with Mr. Dopoh too, because if you try to, people who criticize you a lot, if you try to buy all of them, then it means you are not open to free speech. So I will agree to that part of it.
Okay, yeah. Massa, we have a lot of grounds to cover. The number to call is 712-770-8002, the code 229545 to join the discussion. Let's go to our next issue, which is on the dual citizenship bill that originated in the Senate. The dual citizenship bill has restrictions, and some of those restrictions including president not being a dual citizen, not being to any elected position, being appointed as minister or deputy, head of public corporation, etc., etc. Your view on the dual citizenship bill, Massa, I'll go to you first.
First of all, this is where I stand. The bill is discriminatory, it's divisive, and that's not something that any Liberian should support. And when I read the bill, I think I have a copy of the bill. Yeah. I printed it out. Okay. So when I read the bill, what it tells me is that these people don't even understand the difference between a permanent resident, a dual citizen, and a citizen. I give you an example. My daughters are born in America. In America, if they go to Liberia and apply to be citizen of Liberia, and they were naturalized as Liberian citizen, they are dual citizen. You understand what I'm saying? So you cannot tell my daughter to denounce her birthright. There's no way anybody can denounce that birthright. So let's be clear on that. The same with Liberians who come in this country. They were born, raised in Liberia and everything, came here, went through naturalization. America will not tell them, say, denounce your birthright. Right. America would never. It's naturalization. They already know you were born somewhere. So they will not tell you, say, denounce your birthright. Nowhere anybody can denounce their birthright. No. And I see some people try to make the argument of the oath, the allegiance. How many Liberians in Liberia, even our president, that did not take their allegiance or oath to protect the Liberian people and defend them and to provide? No, I'm just saying, because that was one of the arguments that people say, oh,
when you get naturalized in another country, like here in America, what you are doing in essence is you are renouncing your Liberian citizenship and taking on American citizenship.
You are not, because yes, it's a birthright. It's a birthright. You are not.
Yes, you are.
No, you are not.
Okay, let me go to you.
The Americans who are born here to go and take naturalization in Germany, they are not denouncing their birthright. So that's come to the restriction. You got no right to put restriction on. Even if you say that's say, for example, Massa is a white woman. You understand? She's an American citizen. She goes to Liberia. She wants to be a Liberian citizen through naturalization. You understand? She went through naturalization. Why will you prevent her from contesting public offices? That the public decide whether Massa is our leader. Because Massa has already begun, according to you now, since she went through your naturalization, she has already denounced America. She's no longer an American, according to you. But then you're restricting her for running for public offices. You're restricting the government, the president, for appointing her to places that he thinks that she's qualified and she can do his job. So why prevent people that you think they have already your citizen? Why prevent them?
Okay. Let me go to you, Edward. Your view?
Yes. I've expressed my view before several times, written several articles or pieces in reference to the dual citizenship issue. One of the first things that I'm not even going to speak on the allegiance because I've written extensively on that. But there is one other important point I want to raise. First and foremost, the proposal. I stand against this proposal. I don't think it's in the best interest of Liberia, per se. And I think all Liberians should definitely condemn that proposal. First and foremost, Liberia was founded on dual citizenship from 1847. Every president Liberia had from 1847 up to Dopoh had dual citizenship. Okay, up to Dopoh. Dopoh was the only president that did not have a dual citizenship. Down to we ourselves, he holds another country's citizenship. So the whole idea of bringing up the proposal to punish the diaspora, is all political.
It is.
It's highly it is political. It is biased. It does not help Liberia. It does not help anybody. And furthermore, too, the proposal is very, very ambiguous. You can say you have, as a dual citizen person, you have all the rights. But if you want to hold political position, then you should renounce the other country citizenship.
Even though you're not one yet.
You're not offering us dual citizenship.
No, you're not.
But Mr. Doe, everywhere citizenship has some restriction. Like people, if you are not born here in America, you cannot become president. That's a restriction.
Yes.
Even though
yes,
you are
I
naturalized
agree.
American
I
citizen.
agree. But the language of that proposal is ambiguous. The American, if you look at American language in terms of what you just said, is different. It's much clearer. You know, whatsoever. You can still hold your dual citizenship, but in that language of a president say, that is the way they wrote it is quite different. But this proposal, the way they wrote it, you have all the rights as a dual citizenship. You shall have all the rights. But if you want to hold political office, you have to denounce the other country. Then you're not offering dual citizenship.
No, you're not.
You see? So it's ambiguous.
But Mr. Doe, yes,
Yes,
the point, right, Mr. Doe? You are telling me that I have to denounce my other citizenship in order for me to run for political office. This is an office I've not won yet. You know, I've not won this office yet. So what am I denouncing?
Well, that's true. That's true too. You haven't been elected yet, you know, whatsoever, and that's a good point. Another point I want to raise too, if I say I relocate to Liberia and I relocate, let's say Newtown, and I've invested there, I have properties there, everything. And the people like the work I'm doing, they see the advocacy work I'm doing for them. And they want me to be their leader. They want me to represent them. But then you have this proposal that I should denounce, that bar me from taking up political office, which means you're infringing on the people's right to choose their leader. See? So therefore, that's a bad proposal. Everybody needs to condemn that proposal. It's a bad proposal. It has no place in Liberia.
No, it does not.
Here is the thing.
Mr. Dennis, this proposal, what we are speaking against, it's not really about us. You know,
right.
It's about our children.
I'm coming.
It's about the future.
I'm coming.
Mr. Doe was born and raised in Liberia. Mr. Doe goes back to Liberia. He wants to run for public office. Are there anybody to question him? Nobody can question you.
But don't you think?
It is because of our children that you're trying to deprive. You're trying to bring about the same native in America kind of war. That's what you're trying to bring.
Yeah, I lost my thought.
Another thing I want to raise, Dennis.
Just hold on. Just hold on.
Okay.
Don't you think we are the one bringing this on ourselves? Because we are making it about, we are falling into the trap of those who wrote the bill and making it about jobs, right? Why is the emphasis on job? So we are kind of swallowing their bill. Let's go to Article 28 of the Constitution. Any person, at least one of whose parent was a citizen of Liberia at the time of the person's birth, shall be a citizen of Liberia. It means if you are a green card holder here in America and you have your children are both, because they are born here, they are Americans, and because you, the parent, you are American, so they are Liberians too, right? So the first group of dual citizens that we are children born outside of Liberia to Liberian parents. So actually dual citizenship has existed before, right? Now, why is it that all these things we are making it about job? We're
not making it about job. We are not making it about job. They who wrote the bill and signed off on it are the ones who are making it about.
So you are swallowing their bait. You are.
No, we are not. We are speaking against it because Dennis, it might not be you. It might not be me. It can be any other Liberian person. But what about the U.S., the United States citizen who left her country and went to Liberia, wants to naturalize to a Liberian citizen? Why are you depriving her or him? When Liberians come here, they naturalize, they are not restricted, they run for public offices, they get jobs of high profile. Why are you depriving our Americans? I'm looking at my American friends.
No, because that is because America does not recognize dual citizenship. So So, but when you took the oath, you renounce your Liberian citizenship. So you are American.
No, there's
So
nothing there called breath. Check the oath again. There's nothing there called breath.
They don't see you as Liberian, they see you as American.
No, but they put in your passport Liberian, country of breath. They get it there, country of breath. They don't say American. They say country of breath.
Your birth country. But
because they already know that you came from another country. That's why it's called dual. That's why it's called dual. So when I take my American friends from here and take them to Liberia and they want to naturalize to become a naturalized Liberians, it would be in their passport, country of birth, America. America would never deny their birthright. America would never deny them to say that they are not Americans. America would never do that. I got people who were born in Germany. They came here, they took naturalization. The German government does not deny them of their right.
That is correct.
So our people gotta go back and really be able to understand the differences between these three.
No, because those countries have dual citizenship. But let me hear your view on this, Mr. Doe, and then we can move on to the next.
Yeah, you mentioned about we, the diaspora, making this about job. No, we are not making this about job. The fact of the matter, they have that language in there. They made it political. That's about job.
Yeah.
They made it about job. We are trying to, protect our political rights, and that's what I'm writing about. That's what I'm saying here. That's what I'm preaching. That's what I'm advocating.
Well, look at it this way. Look at it this way too now, because they say one better than zero, right? At least we have a starting point. Before, there is no dual citizenship. So,
but there's no starting point. I don't see that as a starting point.
I heard it same thing from you people. This is a starting point.
That's not a starting point. That's not a starting point.
We have to fix the wall.
That's a bad place to put in us. And the fact of the matter here is that some people are saying that diasporan will not be patriots. They're not patriots. They will come in here, work, and take the money and ship it here. They're not going to invest in Liberia once they get a political position. No, the question to them is, these lawmakers is, we are more patriot. We send money over there on the average.
And they come here to beg us to connect them. They come here, they beg us to connect them.
Massa, let me land, please. But they steal and mismanage the entire country budget. We are more patriot. They are us. We are the patriots.
All right.
We send money over there. They can determine whether somebody's going to steal or not. They are already stealing and mismanaging. So they're not patriots. Let them give the diaspora a chance. Let us bring our expertise there. Let us bring our knowledge there. Let us bring our experience there. Let us bring what we call democracy there, with our children, so that we can build a better Liberia, so that people can have the right leadership and the right leaders.
Thank you. I think that should be the diaspora Liberian should make more of the economic argument than making a job argument. Okay.
No, would not, Dennis. I don't know which one of the diaspora Liberians you are.
But my argument, Dennis, my argument I'm making is political. It's a political argument. They raised the political argument. They made this a political argument.
Yeah.
So my argument is political. Yes, some of it, what I just expressed later was economic, but more of it is about politics.
Right, but if you are going to convince Musu in Paye or whatever in Niponkli, you should make the economic. If you tell those people that the benefits of becoming a dual citizen or becoming with all the rights, they can listen to you more than going to them and say, well, because we're not going to be appointed minister. I think that's a weak position.
I don't think.
But I gave you, Dennis. I gave earlier. I gave an example. I said if I relocate to Liberia, like say in the area of Newtown, and I invest, I got property there. I'm advocating for the people, and the people want me to be the leader. Isn't that enough?
Yeah.
To tell these people that they can choose their own leader. Why are you depriving the people of that vicinity to choose their own leader? If this proposal is an infringement on the rights of the people to choose their leader, because if I relocate there and I say, okay, I'm going to come there, I'm going to invest, I'm going to build properties there whatsoever, give the people jobs in my vicinity, and people see I'm doing good work, and they say, you know what, we want the man to lead us, to be our representative. Then we have the proposal that's barring me from becoming their leader.
So
That's an infringement on the people's rights.
If you love those people, renounce your U.S. citizenship and run for the job.
I want to maintain my dual citizenship. I still want to maintain my identity. No, that's not the issue. That's not the issue. The issue should not be about my dual citizenship. The issue should be about leading these people, the rights of the people.
Let Massa make a final comment, then we can move on.
So Dennis, what's the point of having a dual citizenship? What's the point of Liberia having a dual citizenship?
They don't have it.
Yeah,
not offering me that.
But I'm just saying, if they want to restrict people to that extreme because they want to protect their own temporary security or their own job security.
There are restrictions everywhere. Somebody told me even in heaven there are restrictions because all you do is you'll be singing holy, holy, holy.
So that's the reason why we are fighting back, because we are not foreigners. We are Liberians. We are not foreigners. When they come into this country, they tell us we're meeting the Liberian community. They didn't say the American community. They said the Liberian community. We come to meet the Liberian community. Yeah. So when we want to go back now, you are preventing us from being a Liberian because you say we can't run for office. I don't care. Like I said, I don't care about how you restrict your government, your president. That's up to you. But you will not restrict the people in my district who see the good in me and think I can deliver. You can't restrict them. You can't restrict them.
And you can't have it both ways either. But here's a comment on Facebook from Alex Jones. He said both guests are wrong on dual citizenship. There has to be restrictions. There are restrictions with Guinea U.S. citizenship. Why can't there be restriction in Guinea Liberian citizenship? And if you are there too, you can call the number 712-770-8002.
Nobody.
My response to
Edward, wait, I was calling the number to the people and you can let me finish.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I thought you just read a question.
No, I read a question. I'm telling them so they can call in. Okay, let's move on to the printing of the new bill. That one will be quick.
No, because we're done with the dual citizenship.
It's not going to finish.
We need to close up. We need to have our closing argument on it.
They are calling.
I was giving my closing argument and you interrupted me.
Go ahead. I want to give the number. Instead of calling the number, they are calling my phone.
So, Mr. Dennis and the audience, nobody is fighting back because of job. Nobody is fighting back. We are fighting back for our rights that people want to infringe on because of their own job security. That's what we are fighting for. I was born and raised in Liberia. I went through all of the wars in Liberia. I suffered and I came over here. I came over here to better myself and be able to give back to my country. And all of us who God has blessed to leave Liberia, we have never forgotten about Liberia. We have been able to contribute, give back to our society, help our community. And in a nutshell, almost everything we work for here, we send it back to Liberia. We send it back to Liberia. So this is not about Liberia. If Liberia wants to implement dual citizenship, then they should accept diversity. They should accept inclusion because these two, they bring about change, everlasting change. So you cannot say, I want to accept other people in my country and then you want to restrict them. But then when you come in other people's country, especially a poor country like Liberia that begs for everything, you understand? You want to come in other people and beg for everything, but you want to restrict other people where to go. So it's not about us who were born and raised in Liberia. It's about our friends, our partners, our foreign friends whom I one day want to say, okay, you know what? I want to be a naturalized Liberian. You cannot prevent them. You cannot restrict them to that extreme because you want to protect yourself. You cannot put our children into the America, Liberia, and the native war anymore. My kids were born in this country, but as far as I'm concerned, they are Liberians and they're going to go back to Liberia and they will get a full right under the Constitution of Liberia. I'm investing in Liberia because of my children and nobody will deprive them of their rights as Liberians.
Thank you.
Oh, you want my closing argument? Well, I will just make one statement.
To you.
Yeah, I'll just make it short. Dual citizen, the whole idea of a dual citizen is a farce. what the proposal say is a farce. The fact of the matter here is that you say that I have full rights as a dual citizen holder, but then before I get my political rights are denied or restricted. The only way I can get those political rights is to denounce my other the other country that I hold citizenship to. You didn't offer me in dual citizenship. That's it. You did not offer me in dual citizenship. The proposal does not offer dual citizenship. That proposal does not offer dual citizenship at all. It's a farce. It's a lie. It's false.
Thank you. Just quickly, I know you are not I don't know if any of you have economic background, but on the printing of the new banknotes, what do you think? Let me start with you, Mr. Doe.
Oh, the printing of the new money.
Yeah,
it's simple. I got one word. Well, there's so much malfeasance going on in our government for them to think about printing, new money is very much, it's laughable. What are they trying to do? They're trying to create hyperinflation. Is that what the government trying to do? The exchange rate is going up on a daily basis. They haven't tackled that. Then yet they're moving on to printing new money. So the whole idea about this new notes, printing new notes whatsoever, is just more corruption. That's all I can say about that. It's more corruption. They're looking for more ways to just steal more money. The $25 million is not investigated. The $16 billion is not investigated. Mr. Twell gave us explanation that doesn't make sense about the $25 million. You should be in jail if that had happened in a Western country. Mr. Twell would be in jail immediately. I'm telling you. So that printing of the new money, it should not go forward. It should not. I will end right there.
Massa?
Okay. So like we were discussing earlier, I don't have enough information as to why this government decided to print money. And I don't think I need to have that information because printing money, a government can decide that they want to print money or they don't want to print money, depending on the economy. But I'm just like looking at the credibility part of it. Sometimes they just want to print money because the money that in the market, like they don't have any control over the money. They cannot give an estimate of how much money is out there. And when I asked around, that was what I gathered. Like people I asked when you told us that we were going to discuss the whole printing money thing. And when I did my own research too, I found out that sometimes government wants to print money based on some of these things that, money out there, but people cannot give account of it, they cannot control it, or some other reason. Or within Liberia, I don't have any clue why this government wants to print money. And I don't know what they have set aside to really be able to control the market. Because if you're printing money, it means that you should be able to control the market. Like the central bank or whatever, whoever in charge should be able to control the market so that we cannot have inflation.
Okay. Well, yeah, one of the reasons is
and like Elwin, like Mr. Doe said too, with the accountability piece of it, where 16 million or 16 billion got stolen, and until now we cannot even get account of who took the money, who what happens to the money. Government cannot even give us account of that. So who knows if you go about and print another money, what happens to that money when the money arrives in the country? Will the Liberian people benefit from the money?
So what for the both of you? So what the guarantee do you need? Because it's the government right to print money. So what is it that you're looking for from the government before you can agree for the printing of new money?
Well, for me, I would say this. For me, it's simple. First and foremost, let the government start investigating. Let it start with 12. Let it investigate the 25 million. What happened to that money? Secondly, let the government, write some sort of safeguard as to what explain to us what they want to do with this money. How will the money help the economy? We don't know that. You can just go and print money and say, okay, we want more money to be circulating, whatsoever. No, you got to explain to us what it makes sense economically, you know. But the main thing here is the 25 million must be investigated. Forget about 16 billion. Let's go to 25 million. What Samuel told us, you know, about that 25 million, that explanation he gave should be unacceptable to any government. Even down to a sixth grader says should know better, you know. Samuel told us a lie. He think the Liberian people are stupid. So therefore, he took that money and pocketed it. And it cannot just be thrown under the rug just like that. And then we want to print more money. No. What again? Samuel goes and take another 25 million. You're going to give us the same lie again? So therefore, before this government print any money, let them explain to us what happened to that 25 million.
Massa?
Yeah, so for me, like I said, it is the government responsibility to print money. They can print money because they want to replace all notes. You understand? So, but then let's take a moment to think to why do we want to print money? Why we need this? So we need to be mindful because it's our economy. Is it growing? Is it because our economy is growing? Because people do this thing when the economy is growing. Think about it. If the economy is getting bigger to economic or population growth, then there is a greater need for us or demand for money, as there are more people and more customers as well. So are they printing more money because the economy is growing?
We don't know that. They have not given all the reason, but that's it. Let's go to our next issue, which is Senator Darius Dillon and the $40,000 car. I think you know the story. When Senator Dillon was running his campaign, he said, you know, that was too much for a car, and he wouldn't accept anything beyond 20 to 25,000. Now he has a $40,000 car, and there is a talk about that. His car, should he give it back? Should he ride keke? Should he get a lower car? What's your take? Massa, let me start with you.
Edwin, first of all, politicians will always say stuff during election time, during campaign time, because they want their message to resonate with the people. So they must say stuff to please the people at that moment. So with the issue of Darius Dillon, it was not something that actually surprised me. It did not surprise me at all. And for any politician in Liberia, we support people because we think we have some kind of relationship with them. Not because they are going to be 100% though, not because of that, but because we see probably one or two good in them, or we have some kind of personal relationship with them. That's how politics is. And when people are attracted or follow a leader, these are the things that they are looking for, not because that leader is going to be 100%. So whether I support Mr. Dillon or not, I would never think that he would do everything 100%. And he wanted people to support him, so he needed to say something that would resonate with his audience and that would attract other people to support him. So now with the issue of the car, Dillon has justified his reason for getting the car. And for me personally, I don't see it as a big deal, just because he I don't know the process that it went through, but what he said that, and nobody in the legislature came out to say what he said was wrong, that the car was already paid for. He did not pay for the car. It's not like they gave him money and say go and give him $40,000 and say go and get a car. No, according to what he said, the car was already paid for.
Okay.
And he provided document during his interview that the car was paid for. He did not sign for the car. So I think it's fair enough for us to give him the benefit of the doubt to use the car just because he just got into office. He needs something to move around. And looking at our country too, I was in Liberia in April with the road condition and all those kind of stuff. I think they don't, I would give it up. I would give him the benefit of the doubt that he needs that kind of car to be able to go about doing stuff.
Mr. Doe?
Yes. Well, with Mr. Dillon, I believe that Mr. Dillon's position first was, before he became senator, was that he opposed the luxury perks that lawmakers were getting, especially vehicles, the luxury vehicles, cars, and things of that nature. Now that he became senator, he have accepted that luxury car. Well, Mr. Dillon can keep the car, but what I would like to see Mr. Dillon do is maybe write a bill to fight these perks, like the luxury car issue whatsoever, so they can change that article or what bill, whatsoever, that they can reduce those perks, like the luxury cars, reduce it something cheaper, or used cars, something of that nature. So that's what he needs to do. He can't just say, no, I will accept the car, whatsoever, and do nothing about that. His position was against it. Now he needs to work towards that to reduce that. I think that's the prudent way he should approach that. But just for him just to say, you know what, hey, the car was given to me, it was purchased before I got here, so I'm going to use this car. You need to come up with something better.
And I think I agree with you, Mr. Doe. I mean, just to certify his base, because it was a campaign promise that he made today that he's not going to use it. So if you come out now to justify why you're using a car, then you must come up with some bill to prevent that from happening in the future.
And most of the time in Liberia, we deal with the, I shouldn't say it that broadly, but sometimes we deal with the symptom of the issue. So for instance, Mr. Dillon decided to take a pay cut and use the money and put it somewhere, right? To the
It's not a pay cut. Can I just say that? It's not a pay cut. It's
right.
not a pay cut.
It takes half of this money. It takes some of his money and put it into Massarado County, some fund, right? That is not
signatory to that he's
that is still not solving the issue. So
no.
as Mr. Doe said, is you should go back and write legislation to change these things and not what you do personally, because it's not going to make a difference.
Yeah. And I agree.
Also, during the week, President Weah was celebrating his birthday, and he went to church at the George Patton United Methodist Church. And we saw the picture of the bishop while President Weah was on the altar praying. The bishops, they prostrated themselves on the floor before the altar praying, and Mr. President Weah happened to be sitting there, which looked like they were prostrating before him. The picture went viral, and there was a lot of things said about that photo. Some say the optics. What do you make of it, Massa?
I saw the photo. The first time I saw the photo, me too, I was one of those that said, wow. You understand? And like for photos, people can interpret photos so many ways. You understand? But when I listened to the video, the recording, the bishop said that he did a disclaimer that President Weah should excuse him because they were supposed to pray for President Weah. They were praying for President Weah. It's not like President Weah was sitting and then they just went and bowed down. No, they were praying for President Weah. So he gave a disclaimer. He told President Weah that, sorry, but this is how he usually prayed to God. That's what he said. If you watch the video, that's what he said, the bishop said in the video. So like I said, when I saw the photo first, I was like, wow. But when I watched the video, the bishop gives a disclaimer. And he even told President Weah, he even apologized to President Weah, this is how I pray to God. And that's how he bowed. So with that disclaimer, I don't have any issue with that. Nothing. He was not worshiping President Weah. They were praying for President Weah. and he make it known that this is how he prays.
Mr. Doe?
Well, sorry to say, but I cannot comment on that photo because I have not viewed the photo. I have not come across it. So until I see the photo, then I can make an opinion on that. But for now, I cannot comment on what I haven't seen.
That's a fair point. Now, I want to play you a video, and this is the case with Justina Taylor. And I want you to comment, you know, a lot of things have happened, the last of which was she was at the hospital, supposed to go to what we heard as an interview at the embassy, and it was blocked. But before all that happened, here is what Justina said that set the whole thing up. Yes. And again, we're going to go back to Henry Costa, because when he was in the US, and this video, trying to play the video, okay. All right, that was how it started. Later on, we got a report that she was abused, she was drugged and raped, and she was in the hospital. Then it has about to go to interview. She was prevented, and so by the order of talk show host Henry Costa, people went there to prevent that from happening. What's your take on this whole Justina Taylor case, Mr. Doe?
Well, first and foremost, the government accused Justina Taylor for treason, and that she made some threats to the government. You know, from that free speech that the video you just played. Also, that she said certain things that put the country into some sort of a danger or fear of something of that nature. My opinion is that watching that video, she did not do no such thing. You know, that was no treasonous act. She did not threaten anybody. She called some names whatsoever. To me, that was a civil issue. It's no criminal act she committed. You know, as a matter of fact, the information she provided, the government should use that information, try to check around and see who's bringing these weapons in the country. You know. So maybe call her for interview so she can provide more information for them to find out who are these people. She named some people. The government need to go ask these people, you know, whatsoever. You see, what are they bringing, you know, weapons in the country, you know? So for the government to say she committed a crime, you know, and they kind of injected her with formaldehyde and those kind of things, block her from interviewing, all that stuff. Those are tactics that the government knows something from what she said that is true, you know. So I would say I gave my props to Justina for bringing this to the public, for letting us know, so that we can know that we as administration is piling up weapons. As a matter of fact, Koji said it in one of his videos that, you know, flesh for flesh. What does Koji means? Maybe it's some of the same things that Justina pointed to. So the government perhaps should check themselves.
Massa?
Well, Mr. Dennis, again, this government has always avoided taking on their responsibility. This government has always failed to implement the law when it's supposed to. First of all, if this government had an issue with what Justina said, Justina was loud. She was allowed live TV, video or whatever news broadcast, she was live. So if you as a government institution responsible for these kind of things, and you think that what she's saying is against it has some kind of security implication, then why didn't you take action? Why didn't you take action? Why didn't you enforce the law that Justina should leave that place? And the next day, she's found drugs or whatever, whoever did whatever to her, put her in a hospital. We stopped hearing about her, only to later find out that she was supposed to go for an interview at the US Embassy, and then you send people there to go and arrest her. No, it was wrong. It was wrong. This government keeps missing the opportunity to implement the law. And that brings me back to Henry Costa. This government thinks that they and private citizens are in the right. No, you have the law. You are in control of the law. You should be able to take a position when you think that the country is in chaos, when you think that people who are doing things to cause chaos for our people or to prevent other people, because every freedom of speech comes with responsibility. Mm-hmm. Just because you have mouths to talk, it doesn't mean you should be saying things that will put others in harm's way. And that's why I differ all the time with people who say freedom, this government does not believe in freedom of speech. No, but they continue to prove that they don't believe in freedom of speech. Because everybody who tries to talk against it, they try to bring that person close to them so that person cannot speak against them. And that's where they are abusing freedom of speech. So I get that part of it. But freedom of speech comes with responsibility. Justina said a lot of things over there that this government needed to take action that very day. If they think that it has some kind of security implications, they never did. Justina was found sick in a hospital, called to go to US Embassy for interview, and then you want to go there and show your strength? No, you can't do that. And this government needs to graduate from that violent way of doing things. They need to graduate from that.
I got a question for you, Massa.
Yeah.
You said that Justina free speech has some security implications. What's about Koji? What Koji said? Koji served in his government. All right. He said flesh for flesh. Isn't that a security implication?
Mr. Dopoh, let me just correct that. I said that if this government believed that what Justina was saying, based on your explanation and based on what they put up when they went to arrest her, if they believe that what she said over there has some kind of security implications, then that was the time for them to take action. Now, when Justina is sick.
Well, so then I have a follow-up question then. So are you saying that what Koji said is acceptable? He works in the government and he can come up and say those kind of things. No. You know what it means? He's inciting violence, inciting civil war.
And that's why I keep telling you, Mr. Dopoh, that this government has not graduated yet to leadership. They still see themselves as the CDC party, and, where they used to use all the violent terms and do all kinds of stuff, almost like the same thing that Henry Costa is involved in. They have not yet graduated to leadership. And that's what they need to do. They need to see themselves as leaders and be leaders who are there to speak and work and protect the Liberian people and the country. You cannot be running your offices based on your differences with an individual.
Do you agree with the president being silent on what happened to Talia Yuri when she was almost assassinated and her car was vandalized? The president has been silent. Do you agree with that silence?
I don't want the president to be silent. I don't agree with the president being silent.
Don't that have some security implication of him being silent?
Let me just say, Mr. Dopoh, let me just say, this is not even, I'm not even going to restrict that to Talia, But there are so many things that have
Yeah,
been
but the
happening.
president being silenced on this violence,
That's
don't
what I'm
that have
saying.
a security implication?
That's where I'm going with my point. There are
Yes.
so many things that have been happening in this government that we want this president to speak out. And I have been frustrated with this president not wanting to face the Liberian people and address even the increasing hardship that's going on in the country.
But then
This
why the
president should brave
then
the
why
storm.
if the then
No,
why is it the
Edward.
administration wants to arrest Justina if the government itself are part of the security implications?
And that's why I'm telling you that I'm against her arrest. The
Right.
way they did her arrest, I'm against it. I spoke against it.
Right. Let me bring in a caller. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Hi, Mr. Dennis. My name is Julius. I'm calling you from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Julia, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your question or comment, please.
Thank you. I have more of a comment, not a question, because it sounds like both your studio guests are literally saying the same thing, but I guess they just not understanding that they're both on the same track, because the sister is saying exactly the fact that she disagreed with the idea that the government will want to arrest Justina, and the brother is also asking, why is it that they will want to arrest Justina? Anyway, fast forward. My thing here is I want to address the issue concerning Henry Custer. Custer, the vandalizing of Custer's facility. Why I stand not to support any fraudulent activity on the side of any institution or establishment in Liberia, because we as people have time without number, acts to be able to generate revenues. And in order for us to generate revenues, we have to have it done constitutionally, have to be done legally to legal entities. And so to have an establishment that is functioning, okay, in the jurisdictions of the county or wherever, to not be licensed, I think that gives the government the authority to shut down the facility. But what put the government again, and this is what some of us speak to, and some of those self-proclaimed government officials or die-hard seditionists will come at you for, is when we say, due to the level of inexperience in the government, incompetence, a lot of these things will play into factors. If you understand that this establishment is functioning illegally, okay, and you have all the facts to that, you serve them a warrant, okay, you shut down the facility, you have no reason to have to break down the doors, okay? There's no reason. You shut down the facility and issue a restriction that facility is now restricted from any order from employees, because it's now literally a crime scene. Yeah. Crime scene doesn't necessarily have to be a scene of death. A crime scene is a scene that it's something illegal may take place. So that becomes a crime scene. Anybody who violates that restriction of that request, that no one is supposed to enter the facility, now you have to deal with the law. So how we had competent, experienced of security personnel, like the sheriff who issued the warrant, you would have noticed that even as they claim that they visited the facility on several occasions, that's why you apply your security mentality. When you put on your initial visit to the facility, you put on your form and you take a snapshot of it. That's the reason why you should have all of these devices available with you, and you go with it. That is documented. The next time you do it again. After the third attempt, now this is when you lock down the facility so that nobody can enter, and you ask all of the occupants to step out. You give them time frame. If they refuse to obey you as a law enforcer, you do what is needed. They didn't do any of this. Okay, that shows the level of incompetence where this government is supposed to be, where it's supposed to be, right? Because they lack expertise.
Yeah.
They lack the ability to think for themselves to the point where they can implement adequately.
Mm-hmm.
They literally put themselves in more predicament than they're supposed to. Today, nobody would have been questioning the government because Henry Costa himself admitted to the fact that he never had a license to operate in Liberia. He said he never had one, but they bamboozled their way. The government herself has no legal right. Even the President George Weah, has no legal right to just give orders to any or private entity to go and get licensed.
The caller, please.
Yeah. Okay, caller, just conclude, and then.
Yeah.
Okay. No. I would like to listen. I would like to listen to her correction, so that hopefully, if I can debunk it. If I could.
Yes.
I would like to listen to the brother caller.
I don't think Henry Costa said that he was operating illegally. Henry Costa had a license.
No, he never.
Well, let me finish. The license expired. Wait. He was issued a license. It's not like he started a business without having a license. He was issued a license. The license expired. Now that's a compliance issue. Now compliance not so much of illegality.
It's not.
He was not illegal.
It's
You
not
know what I'm saying?
illegal.
So when you say that he was operating illegally, I take offense to that because that's not true.
And I agree with
because
you.
when he was operating legally, just like license expired.
Okay.
Let me finish. It's like if a company that does not file the taxes. All right, if you don't file your taxes, you're not in compliance. The organization, the IRS will not come and shut your business down.
No,
whatsoever.
they will not.
They write you. They give you a warning letter, the right to they try to bring you into compliance. And that's what the government should have done. They should have written to Henry Costa and that was bring into compliance.
Okay.
Mr. Doe, well on caller before you come
just to add on to what Mr. Doe has said to the caller, the government has no right. The government has no right to even walk into Henry Costa business and grab all of his stuff just because he's out of compliance. You just can't do that. First of all, you tell the man what needs to be done, and you give him time to do it. When people are out of compliance, it doesn't mean that they are operating illegally. No, you, the government, your office responsible to hold people to be in compliance. You send out the mail letter and telling him these are things that you need to do in order for you to stay in compliance. The government or the institution responsible to do that did it.
Okay. Before Julia come back in, the letter from the government says they never had a valid license. It did not say the license expired. So we don't know that.
But a valid license means the license expired.
No,
the valid license means the license expired.
No.
It doesn't mean that.
Then Mr. Dennis, then it goes back to the government who initially wanted to hire Mr. Costa to be their propagandist.
We know that this is all political.
Okay.
But let me hear from you, Julia, before we take leave of you.
Okay, you know what, Mr. Dennis, it sounds like you could be a soothsayer and you would do a good job because you read my mind. I don't have the letter in front of me, but it is clearly stated, okay, in the letter, as you just did it. If you have an invalid driver's license, okay, whether it is revoked, whether it has expired, it's invalid. You go to the court and make that clarification. Once you get to court, and I think this is what the government did in her part when the issue, according to sources, is not stated. There's no way I can validate or confirm this information. But after several attempts to reach out to Mr. Costa without they being successful, they decided to take it. Again, let me be on the record for this. I'm saying the government's decision to break into the facility was wrong. But in order for you to reach out to an establishment in Liberia where our postal service system is not almost functioning, you have to use the sheriff. And when the sheriff come out to summon you, they have to come to the facility. So if they come out there and they are locked out of the facility, they can't get into after 3 attempts, they are left with nothing else. Now, I think at that point, what they should have done.
Julia,
All right.
let me ask you a quick question.
Okay, so
Julia, let me ask you a quick question. When and where did the
go
government?
ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Julius, finish.
Again, like I said, that's where the government should have restricted the facility from any employee having access to it. So while we all want to sit and look at the bad participation or the intervention of the government being considered illegal, or what I would say, yeah, I would refer to that as being illegal and inappropriate. But I also want us to also take into consideration that in order for Liberia to function accordingly, we all have to be law-abiding. And as part of a law-abiding citizen or entity, we all have to do our due diligence. Register your establishment, do what is expected of you, and stay within confinement of the law, so that we all can help to build our.
That's why we want the government to do their work.
Right, and in order for the government to do her work, you and myself as citizens of the country, we also have to be able to abide by the laws.
Exactly.
That's where it comes. That's where it comes to.
Julia, I totally agree with you about
we have to abide by the law.
Citizens.
Okay.
Being law-abiding citizens.
Right.
But where you mentioned saying that the government contacted Costa about 3 times.
No, he said off the record, he said he's not sure. But here is the thing. Are we holding Costa accountable for not operating under a valid license? I don't hear the two of you say that.
Yeah, but no. The way invalid license mean that your license could have been expired. As you see, the quality could have been revoked.
Or you never had one.
Or you don't have one, but he had one. He had a license.
No.
He had
a license.
My brother, may I ask you a question?
If Costa said it,
may I ask you a question? Do you have access to it?
So the license must have been expired.
You're right.
Okay.
What you're doing? May I ask a quick question, please? So what you're doing, my brother, is
Carter.
Okay. From what I'm understanding here is yes.
Carter, let's just.
From what I'm understanding here.
Go ahead, Julius, so you can.
Okay.
We can get the next caller.
Okay. So from what I'm understanding here from my brother, he's taking Costa words for it and don't want to believe the government. He's saying Costa said he has a license, and the government is saying that he had a valid license. So you're taking Costa's word for it, but you don't want to accept the institution that was built to implement the laws. You don't want to listen to them, but you want to take an individual who can at any time fall prey to anything or fall along the wayside to the law.
Julia,
you don't want to do it.
Julia, how can you take the government word that vandalized a property? How can you take that word of the government? How can you trust that? The vandalized,
if it was a court order, then whoever did it has the right to do it. If it was a court order, but if the government did not follow the
court order doesn't tell you. Court order doesn't tell you when vandalized property.
Maybe you the one just using the word vandalized. But they might just walk in there and just take whatever the court asks them to take.
The court order will not tell you to take people's property and vandalize their property.
That's not taking people's property, Mr. Dopoh. What I'm saying, if it was a court order,
there is
then
no
the court would be
disagreement.
responsible. Then whoever did that, they took the order from the court.
The court order will just tell you
Hold on. I don't think there's any disagreement here about taking the property. I think all of you agree that the government is, even Julius said the same thing, that the government is wrong for breaking in and taking stuff, right?
Yeah.
In the area the disagreement is about license. So if you're not operating a proper license, you should be closed. 2, the government, when the government spokesperson came up, they did not only say about license, and they started talking something outside the letter. So we having some multiple positions coming from the government. They talked about Costa fighting violence, being charged with sedition, violating the penal code, and all the 9 years. So these are valid issues. But Julia, just conclude so that we can go to the next caller.
Okay, thank you. Now, Mr. Dennis, and to both your studio guests, I want to say thanks for taking your time off to discuss these issues, because this particular topic, it has a whole lot of pieces to the puzzle that we need to take into consideration. One thing is based on Costa's narrative that even President Weah himself, he violated the law, and when he just requested that Henry Costa license be either renewed or given to him, because he now wanted Henry Costa to propagate message or government messages. That tells you how, and I will use this word, disgruntled this establishment is, because they have no regard for the law. So to all of us, why we all want to be very technical and critical of what took place at the Roots FM establishment, I also want us to view things from different perspectives, and let us not look at this and politicize the issues, but let us look at it holistically and see how best that we can solve some of these problems, because there isn't a single establishment, unless you're illegal. There is not a single establishment in the diaspora in America today that is functioning freely, that can sit out there, either propagate government message or speak against the government that is not operating on a valid license. You will get shut down. There are several establishments that impacted by this. Yes, my sister, you may go ahead. I just wanted to.
Julius,
yes, ma'am.
I just want to try it
Massa,
out there.
I'm one of
those who have been against Costa for the way in which the way in which Costa do his stuff. I've been against it. Costa for months now, Costa has continued to incite violence and cause chaos in the country, especially the way he propagates his messages on his platform. You understand? So what I'm saying, if this issue is just about Costa, like the way Costa said things, then I think the government has to follow the right procedure to hold Costa responsible for his freedom of speech. On the other hand,
and I think I agree with you.
Let me, Massa, just hold it. Let me let Julia go. Julia, thank you so much.
Okay, I will continue to follow the show. If I have to call back in, I will do that, Sis Massa. I will follow. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Bye.
We're almost out of time, so the Costa issue being the hot button issue, I think we can end with this. So I'll bring in first two issues, okay? The dual citizen and the Henry Costa issue. On Henry Costa issue, we see that the Unity Party already wrote a position statement on day one of this incident, condemning the closure of Roots FM. We are getting reports that, I don't know, they are not being substantiated, that an arrest for Costa has been issued. I am not clear on that. But how do you see the Unity Party or the CPP in relationship with, and Costa said in his live broadcast also, that the CPP, the collaborating parties, are going to issue a strong worded statement on this saga. What do you think? You know, the Unity Party already came forward, which is also part of the collaborating. What do you think is happening here when it comes to Costa, his radio station, the collaborating parties, the COP, and what the Unity Party has done already?
Well, I would say I think all the political parties, the opposition party, need to condemn this action of the government, because for me, I'm a proponent of free speech. And for this government to take such an action, you know, vandalize the establishment of Costa or the radio station, and taking the property of the establishment that vandalizing, you know, things of that nature.
Let me land.
The court order does not say you should go and take people property or take the establishment property.
All I can tell you. Even in America, court order tells you that.
No, court order will not do that. He did not owe taxes. whatsoever. So for them to seize property as, you know, as a way of to get their taxes back or whatsoever,
Hey,
repay
if they
tax.
follow the law,
No,
that's fine.
the court cannot tell you to shut to go and break in and whatsoever. No, it's a licensing, it's a
Court can do
compliance thing.
that.
It's a
Court can do
compliance
that.
thing. Shut it down, put a lock on it that they won't be able to gain access to it whatsoever. Period. That's what they should have done. And I think the CPP, the Unity Party, the LP, the ALP Party, all those parties need to condemn it, as long also ANC too. And I condemn it too. I condemn this action.
I don't think they are the right messengers.
Wait. For me, I write a lot. I'm an advocate, and I don't want to go to Liberia tomorrow. I write something, and the government come after me. This should stop. We are heading towards a dictatorship, and that's what this shows.
But Josh, Edward, do you hold Costa responsible for anything at all?
Well, I hold him responsible for some of the utterances, you know, whatsoever. But this issue is not about his utterances now, whatever he said now, you know, whatsoever. If that's something he said in the past, you know, whatsoever, and they're trying to bring to light now, it's belated. It's very much belated. So therefore, they're talking about license. They're talking about inciting violence and all that stuff. The man just had a protest on June 7th. It was peaceful. What was the violence there? If they want to talk about inciting violence, they should look at we are comment about flogging Tilia. That's inciting violence. They should look at Koji comment about flesh for flesh. That's inciting violence. So they are taking the focus from they themselves and putting it on Costa just because he's heavily a critique of this government. Period. That's all.
And that's what I have problem with, because it's like this government is in a beef with Costa based on their previous relationship. That's what I have problem with. This government has failed to use the authority that they have to protect every Liberian person or to protect every businesses in our country. This government has failed to do that. It's like they are in a fight, they are in a beef, and they are trying to by all means hurt Henry Costa. And this should not be about Henry Costa. This should be about the law. This should be about the law, enforcing the law. It should not be about Henry Costa. But this government has managed to turn everything that they're supposed to stand out and get the full support of the Liberian people. They have managed to turn it around against them. And that's my frustration with this government.
The last point on dual citizenship that was noted, and we didn't talk about that, I want to revisit it, is the support of Mr. Darius Dillon for the restrictions on dual citizenship. Darius Dillon, during his campaign, drew most of his support from the diaspora. Now, some diaspora Liberians are not happy with him. This brings to the question of the cat before the horse. When people are running a campaign, why don't we ask them these questions before throwing our support behind them? And we want them to do this after the fact.
People, they ask questions. I think even during the debate, Darius said that he was going to accept dual citizenship, but with restriction. Darius was very clear on that. For me, even prior to Darius contesting for this election, Darius has been against dual citizenship. He has said so many nasty things about dual citizenship and about Liberians who are living in the diaspora. So for me, it was not a surprise for me. I did not support him because of some of these things, and I did not expect him to change on anything that he said. But who knows? Apparently, when these people supported him overwhelmingly, he told them something else that we don't even know about. So I'm pretty sure that's the reason why they are frustrated.
Well, I wrote a piece in reference to Dillon when he was running, that, what was his position in terms of dual citizenship. And just what Massa said, he supported it, but with restriction. And in my piece, I call him a protectionist when he made that comment. And Dillon, I see to Dillon to be a protectionist. Dillon is afraid of the diaspora because diaspora we have the expertise, we have the know-how, we have the knowledge,
the resources,
and the resources too. So that's how I look at it. They're just afraid. So DeLong was supposed such a proposal to keep us out. And to me, I mean, I've spoken to DeLong here. I debated this issue several times, and he's been very consistent about that he did not want dual citizenship, to have full to have full rights, but with restrictions. So I was limited in my support for DeLong, whatsoever.
Yeah.
In fact,
Mr. Doe, before you continue, don't you think that's one of the things that people in Liberia, they think that we are in the diaspora are arrogant because we believe we have the resources, we have the expertise, and we are in a way better than the people in Liberia. And because of this, they are resenting us.
Well, I would say because you have the expertise, you have the know-how, you have the resources that make you arrogant. It depends the way you express it.
That's
It's a fact. It's a fact that we have the expertise, we have the resources.
It is a fact.
Some of us, have good jobs here. Some of us have worked with local government here. We can take that same experience and apply that to the government over there. So therefore, they have to. It's at their advantage. If they have this expertise there. Right now, there are no experts in this. We are government. I know Simon Tua very well. I've debated him several times. On the platform. He's a sweet talker, but he has no meat. He's regurgitate theories. That's why the country economy and finance is in the mess, because Simon Tua does not have the solution. Not at all. So
let me bring my final.
Yeah.
My final caller, then we can end here tonight. Caller,
all right.
Where are you calling from?
This is Cece Goya calling from Minnesota.
Mr. Goya, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
I appreciate it, Mr. John. Say that again?
Your question or comment? Oh, you called me. A lot of people kept calling me Mr. Dennis, so you are the first to say Mr. Jah. Thank you so much.
Mr. Jah.
Well, I have comments. I don't have questions. I think the issue with the dual citizenship. The issue with the dual citizenship, to just pick on Darius DeLong alone as if that was the one vote. That the dual citizenship as it is, with all of the restriction, was passed by one vote is unfair. The second piece is the diaspora Liberians have not been organized to the point to be able to even make an impact. Look, I am with Eula. You have been with Eula. We sat here and we watched people who said they're spearheading they've been spearheading this issue for dual citizenship for years. During the Massa elections, the elections that Darius DeLong won, people wrote policy papers against Darius DeLong from this very group of Liberians who said they're organizing for dual citizenship. So we have to be very mindful in politics. Okay, Darius DeLong all along said that he was going to support dual citizenship with restrictions. We didn't ask what the restrictions were going to be. People from EULA and people went ahead and started castigating and started saying, "Don't vote for this man." Well, when you already burn your bridge, it's really difficult trying to get back to that farm road, and that's what EULA did. The other piece is I wanted to comment on the Henry Costa issue.
Okay.
Look, let me tell you something. Whenever ignorance is allied with power, that is a recipe for disaster. And that's what we're seeing, exactly what happened with Root FM. Look, if Henry Costa's radio station did not have the requisite licensure, I think the government should have the ability to shut down the radio station without sending police officers to go into the building and destroy property. That's not how you close a radio station down. And then coupled with that, you have people who are within the government who did that. The government did not even plan its own outreach, its own how you want to call that, the press statement. Okay, their talking points was not even organized. You had people saying that Henry Costa has been charged for sedition. Henry Costa has been charged because he insulted the president. While the president, in this legislature, one of the first things that they actually went after was to decriminalize speech against the presidency. So you cannot go and decriminalize speech against the presidency and then come and try to charge somebody for the exact same thing you just decriminalized.
That's a good point. Yes.
So I will rest my case right there, Mr. Jah. But we in the diaspora, we are becoming to look to our brothers and sisters on the ground as being very, 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 very purpose that we think we know everything, that we don't go down to the ground to try to find out what the people want and try to liaise with them. Eula went ahead and delivered policy statement and wrote on Facebook against Darius DeLong without even asking what DeLong stood for, what restrictions DeLong stood for. And then now we want to come back and say, oh, well, we can do that.
And Carter, it doesn't have to be Yuda. It doesn't have to be Yuda. People who financially supported DeLong.
That's your umbrella. That's your umbrella organization. That is your recognized umbrella organization.
But they were not in full support of DeLong. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be Yuda. It can be even people who supported him.
Massa is right. I wrote a piece and I asked DeLong, what were those restrictions? He never commented on the restrictions.
That's it. The people never asked his name.
Here's the thing. Did you ever reach out to DeLong? Just writing something on Facebook, how do you know that DeLong even saw your post on Facebook? Let's be very serious. There are people who sit here and write letters and say they write the president. Would the president even read that to respond to you?
Mr. Goya,
let me call you. Advocacy can take place. Exactly.
And he was tagged.
Can take place. Why is it now that everybody, even people who supported him, are going against him?
DeLong is not the only person.
Okay, Mr. Goya.
DeLong is not the only person who voted for the bill with all of the restrictions. Why are we going against after everybody else?
I knew where DeLong stand. I'm very clear on that.
Why are we going after everybody else?
Mr. Goya,
we are going after everybody else.
Mr. Goya, here's the point. Mr. DeLong is like the darling of the diaspora, right? So that's why people, and he is the one, because the way his campaign was run from here, that's why there is much talk about DeLong's position, because he was supposedly carrying the light in the
house.
Okay, but my question to you is about the dual citizenship. When Eula were mobilizing, when Eula has been mobilizing for years, I think the last thing I saw was carrying some paper around for people to sign up to give money. Not many people did. In fact, Mr. Emmanuel Weti, who was the leader of this, was being lampooned in some quarters. Now the dual citizenship almost failed, or is not to the liking of the diaspora Liberians. But how many of you supported this effort when Eula was championing it? And now they got it halfway and you are complaining.
No. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. Let's get this right. Mr. Ja, I also sit on that dual citizenship campaign. I actually even hosted a fundraiser here in Minnesota. If you're not aware of that, you should ask Emmanuel Weti. He came down to Minnesota. We raised the most amount of money any state I've ever raised for this dual citizenship campaign. I was the head of that group. The point I made here was that we have been very, very haphazard when it comes to advocating for dual citizenship. We have not had a structured pathway out. We said on Facebook, Emmanuel Weti will write one thing and say Weti speaks. The former chairman of the board, George Dopoh, will stay on Facebook and write and say that they speak. After we are done, we'll write and say, and they're all over the place. There is not one person that can tell me from Eula that they actually went down to Liberia, sat down with legislators, told them exactly what we wanted, and tried to put money to their work.
No, they did.
We sat here and we said we support
They did. Eula went down, they did.
Let me tell you something. George Dopoh went down to Liberia, and let him show me receipts. He went down to Liberia. He took pictures with senators. There is not one cent we put into advocacy. Not one cent. I'm telling you that my state, we raised the most money for dual citizenship, and I'm telling you that any of them get on this line and prove me wrong. So we can sit here and we write, and all we do is write on Facebook, and we say that's advocacy. That's not advocacy. Like the other gentleman was saying that he wrote on Facebook and DeLong did not respond. What else did we do?
I didn't say DeLong did not respond. I said he saw that he responded.
Here's the thing.
Well, he didn't answer the question. You're right.
What is the next step? What do we do next? Do we just sit and say, okay, I wrote to DeLong didn't respond, so we leave it alone? And then when there's a vote and we sit and complain? Now we have a situation where this thing is going to go to the president for his signature. What are we doing to make sure that when it gets to him that he vetoes it?
Caller, can I ask you a question?
The thing has already been
killed.
The proposition has already been killed.
Caller, can I ask you a question?
Let me let Mr. Goya go so we can so you can give your closing statement and we can close down this. We've gone 2 hours already.
I know I'm tired.
So Mr. Goya, thank you so much for calling in.
Appreciate it, Mr. John. Thank you so much. And thanks to the panel. It's always a good thing for us to come along and try to discuss issues that affect our country. And we might disagree, but we still disagree respectfully. I still love you guys for the work you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. All right. I know we cover a lot of ground, so I'll give each of you a minute to summarize, and so we can give us your final thoughts so we can end the broadcast. So I really appreciate your time. It's Friday. You're supposed to be having your happy hour, but now we are here discussing Liberia. So let me start with you, Massa, to give me your final thoughts.
So once again, Mr. Jad, thanks for the opportunity to be on your platform, and to you, Mr. Dopoh, for this opportunity for us to sit to discuss about Liberia, a country that all of us, we are passionate about. All of us want to see the better of our country. We want our country to grow. Our country since 1847, as Liberians, I don't think it's something that we are proud of, because we have not achieved a lot yet, especially being the oldest in Africa. So all of us, we are passionate about the growth of Liberia. And that's why we come on social media, regardless of where we find ourselves, how we carry on our advocacy. It's all for the benefit of Liberia. When I left Liberia, to be honest, I was like, you know what? Every time we go through new leadership, it almost like we are settling for what's the ridiculous. And sometimes it puts you in a position where you think like, you know what, I'm not even going to do no Liberian politics instead. But then it's that part of you that are forcing you to talk, because all of us, we have our brothers, we have our sisters, we have our friends who are on the ground. And there's no way we can neglect Liberia, knowing that these people are in Liberia. So Liberia concerns all of us, whether we disagree on the issues, whether we disagree on the leadership. At the end of the day, we are disagreeing because of Liberia. So I thank you for the opportunity to be on this platform, to be able to discuss those issues that matter to all of us. And I hope that we will continue with this discussion, because like I said, we all need to discuss. We all need to communicate those things. Whether we disagree or not, we need to communicate. During those days, we were prevented, like Mr. Dopoh agreed, that we were prevented from communicating our feelings, from communicating things that we think that matter to us in our country. But now we have the platform to do these things. So if it's on social media, if it's through writing, if it's through LinkedIn, whatever means that we can communicate, we should be able to communicate. Because again, no more war in Liberia, but we'll continue to push our leaders to do the right thing. And with the dual citizenship bill, we stand against it. We don't support it. We are born Liberians, born and raised in Liberia. In Liberia, even our foreign friends who might want to go to Liberia to seek naturalization, we don't think they should be restricted like that. So we need all hands on deck. We need diversity in our country. We need inclusion in our country, because these two, they bring about progress. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here and to discuss with Mr. Dopoh, my very good friend. For years, we have been at each other.
Thank you. Mr. Dopoh, before you come in, I just want to read a few comments on Facebook to do justice, because some of them, Pastor Thomas Leahy said, Mr. Host, if you want to balance this argument, invite a person from the government side to discuss with one of the speakers. Mr. Dopoh, Pastor Thomas, we try. In fact, we have one guest who is 110% pro-government, but he declined at the yellow hour due to some other engagement.
But even me, a pro-government, Mr. Dopoh said that I'm a big fan of George Weah. I supported George Weah.
Okay, Mr. Thomas Awaji said, with the exception of the peaceful protest, when did the citizen ever get on the street to carry out violence incited by Costa? Mr. Dave Jah, that's my brother, he said, I believe the Weah's government is gradually threading into dangerous territory. They are acting like spiteful children. There is a high degree of incompetence in the Weah's government. The president is sadly not leading at all. He's not communicating to the nation. He is not careful. If he's not careful, the nation will gradually slide into chaos. Most of us are witnesses of history. President Weah is not leading at all.
I agree with that.
Let me see the last person. Lofa Julius. Those who supported and going against him were in it for the against, or that's Mr. DeLong are in it for their own reason. So once again, on the whole debate tonight, we invited one caller or someone, but it did not turn out, and so we turned it into a discussion debate, not a full-fledged debate. And it's always good. We don't always have to disagree. It's good when our callers or our panelists, they agree with one another, and the areas where they differ, we kind of discuss that. Let me go back to you, Mr. Doe, for your closing thoughts.
Well, first and foremost, Mr. Jai, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity, and also it's my first time actually viewing Ms. Dopoh, you know, whatsoever. She's a very brilliant lady. You know, I very much appreciate her coming on this show too, and I'm happy that to see some of our Liberian, you know, women to be a part of politics. And keep up the good work, Ms. Dopoh.
Thank you.
You got very good ideas there. First and foremost, I would like to say that this WIA administration was elected as a mistake. It's a mistake that happened to Liberia. Because with this administration, I don't think we are progressing. All the gains that were made during the Ellen administration have been put backwards. We're not making any gains. We're not improving on those gains. As a matter of fact, we are retrogressing. And this administration, in my opinion, I don't think it's the administration that can make Liberia better again. The way things are going, the WIA administration has no interest in the Liberian people. WIA is very much interested in himself. He's looking after himself. He's looking after the people around him, his colleagues. We are building up an oligarchy. WIA administration is an oligarchy that is gradually moving in the direction of a dictatorship. And with that said, Liberia will definitely fall into an area that it will be hard for us, for the next leader to get Liberia out of that deep hole, because we are certainly is going to put Liberia in that deep hole, and we're getting into that. I don't think we are going to leave the presidency when it comes to 2023, even if he's voted out. They're going to cheat. This administration is going to cheat to stay in power. From what I'm hearing from people like Koji,
Mr. Doe, what's the basis of that statement?
Yeah, I'm giving you my basis. From what I hear from this and Koji, flesh for flesh, the president himself saying that Tilia Ure should be flogged.
Mr. Doe, let me stop you before.
You see, Dennis, Mr. Doe kept all his punches at the closing of the show.
Yeah, because
so I will let you have it.
Right, I don't want you to go with those that flesh for flesh mean war, or when some in Liberia when they say flog, slap somebody. So I don't want you to use those things.
I know.
To flog somebody in the election, and the man was giving raw meat to his base. I don't think those are sufficient enough to say that.
It's sufficient enough for the flog of flog. Look what happened. Look at the violence, the vandalizing.
No, but you are making a leap.
Incitement.
You are making a leap.
Dennis, that Mr. Doe have it. Let him have it.
Please conclude.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it. Liberia is not going nowhere. And I'll just conclude with this.
And I did.
Under this administration, Liberia is not going nowhere.
It's okay, because this man doesn't want to end the debate.
Wait. Let me finish. Let me land.
Mr. Doe, you have 30 more seconds.
I'm going to conclude with this comment. And this is what I subscribe to. Liberia should be built on what is right, not who is right.
Yeah.
And
thank you, Mr. Doe.
Most of the time in Liberia, as I say, we talk about the who and never the what. So most of the time, even in the Costa discussion, the name that keeps coming up is Henry Costa. What is it exactly that we are against? Is it are we protecting press freedom, or what is it that we are protecting? Because most of the time, the same ills that, for instance, Henry Costa is speaking against, when Henry Costa himself does the same thing, we give him a slide. Why? Because he's speaking something, you know, he's speaking for us, or he's speaking against the government. Most of us do not like what the government is doing. So we normally give people a slide when they are speaking what we want. But
what we want to, yeah, that's it. And that's hypocrisy.
Issue, we
Yeah.
don't say anything. But when Miss Dr. Josh Gompo learned that we were discussing this, he sent his comment on dual citizenship. So I will close with this. This is how Dr. Josh Gompo described the restrictions on dual citizenship: cynical, cowardly, and diabolical. That is the essence of the restrictions embedded in the dual citizenship proposal that was passed in the legislature. The restrictions, I believe, were sneaked into the proposal by people who were initially opposed to the idea of dual citizenship, but have flipped due to the popularity of the idea. So instead of honestly saying that they are opposed to the idea, they have considered the risk of their losing their popularity if they oppose to the proposal, and now claim to be in favor, but have injected a number of xenophobic restrictions, which will in effect create a lower class of Liberians to be called dual citizens, whose rights to serve their country in various elected and appointed positions will be denied. Those are the thoughts of Dr. Josh Gompo on the dual citizenship.
100% agree.
I want to thank you so much for coming. I hope you can come back. Keep your phone lines open, you know, and if you want to discuss something else, contact us and we're going to be able to schedule something. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart on behalf of my co-host, Danielle Knuckles-Guishard, and also my guest relations manager, for coming tonight and spending your time with us instead of going to happy hour. We want to thank our audience, our viewers from across the globe. We want to thank those who call in and also those who posted comments. Liberia is the only country we have, so let's do everything to make it that sweet land of liberty. Whether you're a dual citizen or a triple citizen, Liberia will continue to be ours. Okay, thank you so much. Good night and God bless you.
Thanks to all of you watching.
All right.